Alright, how's it going, everyone? This is Anon. None of this is financial advice. This is for entertainment purposes only. Alright, so let me launch Discord. It's been a while. I do not. Let's see if everything's up in order right now. What's up, Drake? What's up, Spencer? What's up, Tom? How are you guys? Alright. What's up, BC? How are you? Alright. I gotta mention. Alright, there we go. What's up, KB? You're back. Alright, good stuff. Awesome. What's up, awesomeness? Drake's doing well. I'm doing well myself. Sorry for skipping a night. I had a work event. Every couple weeks I have, and sometimes it's quarterly, we have a professionals, like it's like a networking thing. But yeah, I was going to say we did that last night and had some drinks afterwards and got to network and meet some people. So that was cool. Talked to a computer software engineer, and he and I talked a bit about. He's also a trader, so fun talking to him about stuff and trying to figure out if there's any way of creating some tools that would be helpful for obviously all retail traders. Yeah. All right. So what else? Valjean says, "Can I be first?" You gotta be ready right around 9:30 to 10. Some who knows when I'm gonna be on nowadays. I was putting my daughter to bed and we started reading Harry Potter and she wanted me to keep going. I was like, we gotta stop. Oh, you forgot to add EMKR. Am I able to do that? Update titles. You can update title and descriptions for each destination. Yeah, so we need to probably update that. Oh, man. I'll have to do it next time. But we do need to, I need to update and figure out how to use YouTube and all this other stuff. I'm like probably the worst streamer ever because I have like no idea what I'm doing on YouTube. Like I am not good at attracting like catch phrases and words. Like I tried doing it in the titles, but like not great on that. All right. Let's see. Today though is name your stream. Yeah, I'll have to do that later. The hedge funds. Okay. I don't know if that's right, but I think I did that wrong. Did I change it? Did I change the title of my live stream? Yeah. I did. My bad. All right. Well, anyway, we'll get started. Let's see. But all right. So I'm reading through your comments. Life is good in Arizona. Good stuff, BC. Dang, I got the second like. What's up, random? Drake, how far from a market bottom are we? I mean, so here's my thing. I think today was a trap. So we went up pretty significantly on very low volume. And we've had a couple of these like runs on very low volume, which makes me think right now that this is a trap for getting retail to bail out of their puts that they've been really bearish on. Because this is when people started adding puts, right? Like retail started adding puts, like, and then this is them, I think, just shaking out retail and burning like the low people that don't have theta. They're basically just burning these people out. So, you know, I think long term, what we're going to end up seeing is a retracement back to probably the. Let me see. Is it show up better on? Probably. Let me get a Weebo real quick. Where is my? I gotta work on placing my icons in a better spot so I can actually see them. Here it is. Okay, let me replace that. There we go. All right, here we go. All right, so we're looking at SPY, right? So we were talking about market bottoms, and obviously this is a large cap, but I told you guys this is the area I think we're going to get to. We're not too far off right here, right? So what I was going to say is, so what I think's happening right now is I think 380 is a very like important pivot point, and that's what they did was they pushed it down to 360s, and then everybody was getting way too bearish, right? They also gapped down, so they had to fill that gap. And now what they're doing basically is they're trying to burn out and kind of do a head fake for, you know, retail, because retail is betting on this going down. And so what they're doing is they're pushing it up on low volume. Like, look at the volume for today. Like, that was not a lot of volume to move as, you know, much as we did. So, you know, my thought is I think we test this area, and then if the world's falling apart, we may fall a little bit further possibly back to like pre-COVID, where basically like, you know, that could be the bottom. But that's just a guess, obviously. Like, none of this is financial advice. This is all just some idiot Marine talking about stocks, and, you know, who knows if I'm right. But I do think that this level right here will be tested in the 340s. So I think that's like the first area of like, you know, for me, I bought some 350 puts and some like some UV or SPXU calls, which are basically like a inverse S&P. So when the S&P goes down, that SPXU or SPXS both go up. So it's up to you on which one you want to do, but they're basically the same concept. And, you know, this is just what I see. Like, sure, we could just fly back up and retest the top, but I'm thinking we're so close to this area. I think they want to. There's a pocket of liquidity that basically they're going to try to get to, and that's what I think is going to happen. So hopefully that answers your question there. I don't know where the bottom is, but this would be my initial, like, let's see where we are. You know, it will take a couple more weeks probably to get down in this area. So, like, you could possibly test this area by, like, maybe July, August, maybe. Maybe that's way too slow, but that's what I was just thinking. Okay. What's up, Empress? All right, so AMC and GME today. Yeah, so obviously GameStop had a nice little run, right? So everyone saw kind of today what happened was, you know, we had a nice day, hit up to, I think, like a high of, so it bounced 3 times if I remember correctly. Let me go with the 1 minute. But what I saw was this. You hit this high of 135.50. It touched it again up here, and then they tried to touch it again up here, and they couldn't break through any of these times. And then they even tried it there and there, and then basically they didn't catch it for the rest of the day. Now, all of a sudden, they tanked in the after hours. And why was that? Right? Anyone know? It's because the news of the CFO leaving, and then they're laying off 20%. Now, they gapped up, right? And they're back up here in the 127s, but I expect, because GME gapped up from, I think it was 18, 118. Yeah, it's 117, 118. So they have to fill this gap from basically, what was this? What did they close at? 117 something, and then they gapped up today. Right, so they gapped up to 123. So there's a gap to fill, right? So I actually think that on GME, they might try to fill the gap tomorrow and push it down, because they've got some quote unquote bearish news. But it's a lot easier to push things up and down in the after hours than it is during the market day. So, but GameStop had a pretty good, decent volume for GameStop, considering there's not a lot of liquidity in that stock. So I would imagine at some point we may see 118 at some point again. That's where I have my buy orders, because I think they do hit that pocket, 117, 118. So that's what I'm doing personally. Raid Pistola. What's up, Maniacs? What's up, man? What's up, Carl? What's up, D? What's up, Random? I will message you an idea for a platform. Okay, cool. Appreciate it. Yeah. All right. So, Jerry, what's up, man? All right. Any tips to be a dad to a baby girl? Yeah. So, obviously, the best thing you can do is read to your kids and constantly talk to them. Seriously, you're changing the diaper, go into baby talk and start. Just the more your kids are exposed to words, before I became a dad, I listened to it was called Brain Rules for Babies, and the author was actually pretty funny. But he went around. He's a neuroscientist specializing in infant brains, and he would go around the country speaking about how the brain works and how especially infants' brains works and blah 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 blah. And he said all the parents would sit there and listen to him talk, and then afterwards come up to him and go, "How do I make my kid smarter?" And he's like, I'm telling you guys all the intricacies of the human brain, and all you guys want to do is does music make my kid smarter? Does playing Beethoven and Mozart in the womb, does that help? And he answers all these questions. It's a good book if you get a chance. It's called Brain Rules for Baby, but the guy's also got a good sense of humor, so it's easier to read. But so basically what you can do is you can expose your kids to words, and when they get a little bit older, you can help them identify and actually label feelings and words, because that's emotional intelligence that will help them in the long run. And teaching them what's called what was it called? Anyway, it's executive function, doing things that help improve their executive function, which makes them better leaders and better students and better time delegators. And so, it's a really interesting book, and I recommend it. But talk to your kids, even if no one's around, just constantly talk to them. The more words they're exposed to, the better it is. So, yeah. All right. So, Chin Chin, does anyone think ATER will go below $1.50 if earnings are missed? I mean, there's a possibility, and I'll kind of go through that real quick. So, you have to remember, when you deal with any stocks, doesn't matter about Aterian, let's just look at any stock. Let me do this. Let me go to the daily. All right. So, as we zoom out, right? They had hit 142 down here, and that's the running joke in the Discord that we're going to go back down there. Now, here's the thing. The stock that back then had a lot less shares. The more shares that are issued, the more that, like, your stock price will go down. Look at something like BBIG, right? So Aterian right now has shares outstanding is around 69 million roughly, right? Now, let's look at something like BBIG, right? So BBIG right now has 577 million shares outstanding, right? So that's obviously a lot. So that's BlackBerry. Sorry, I'm on the wrong one. I need BBIG. BBIG. Sorry, this one has 233.14 million, right? So compared to 69 million, that's much more. Obviously, So why are they $1, right? It's because they diluted the crap out of their it was to raise money, and basically, and they're trying to use that money to make the business run. And I think that's why people, always. The question is, why does a company sell stock, right? You would want to, obviously, keep your shares as I guess, strong as possible. And that's what most companies try to do. The more you dilute your stock, the more your own stock is worth. It's worth essentially less because the pie grows bigger, and that means each one of your shares has less value. So typically what they do for this, though, is it's all about how you use your money, right? If you use your money, for example, for them, right, they raised up a ton of money, and what they're doing is they're trying to create that platform so that they compete against TikTok. That's what BBIG's thing is, right? So they want to become the next TikTok. But when you do that, obviously, your market cap, it takes a lot more to grow that. So, for them to get back up, to $5, all of a sudden they're a $5 million market, or it'd be more than that, right? What's the math on that? Let me pull up a calculator. Here we go. So right now, if they have 233,140, right? That times, let's say they get up to $5. You're looking at 116, right? Is that right? Make sure I did that right. 233. Hold on. Where is 233,140,123, right? Times, let's say 5. You're looking at a $1.1 billion market cap. You have to be bringing in a ton of money to justify that, right? Think about that. Your market cap would be a $1.1 billion just to get up to 5 when you have that many shares outstanding, right? Same thing with Nokia, right? I don't know if you guys know this, but Nokia is another stock that has a ton of shares, right? If you look at shares outstanding on Nokia, it's 5.63 billion shares outstanding, right? So, it's the reason why Nokia, unless they bring in a ton of money, they're never going to be a stock that probably runs up to, let's see, let's do the math on this, right? So that's million. So that's it right there, right? So if Nokia goes to $10 a share, right? It's a $56 billion market cap. Versus the 26 billion that they're at right now. That's why these stocks don't move that often. Because that would be a huge swing. They would double their market cap and be at $56 billion market cap. So I just wanted to show you how that works. The extra 7 million shares that will hit in September, you might see a chance for those to get down for Aterian. So let's look at it right here, right? So could it get down to the 150s? Sure, it's possible. My guess is the algo wants to hit the 142 level. That would be my guess, but I don't know if they can, because you're looking at, if at 142, just take this math equation, so I'll show you guys. So if we take right now the let's just call it 69 million, right? So 69 million, right, at 142, that would give you a 97, basically a $98 million market cap, right? Now, you have to remember the balance sheet, though, still matters. So Aterian's balance sheet, obviously, we won't know until August what the new one looks like. But basically, if we take the 10K or the 10Q, sorry, and let me see if I can pull it up real quick. Pulling up the 10Q for you guys so we can take a look at the balance sheet. Here we go. Latest filing, 10Q. My internet's being slow. That's weird. Okay. Here we go. Here we go. This is the latest one, right? All right. So see right here. We had 44 million in cash. So these are your current assets. Current assets right here. I don't know if you can see this or not. Here, I'll zoom in a bit so maybe you can see it better. Okay. So current assets are basically your hard assets, like cash, accounts receivable, inventory, prepaid and other current assets. So these are like considered like hard assets. So if you had basically that 142 number, right? Because we figured out that if 69 million shares went to 142, you would have a market cap of basically 98 million. Well, you already see right here that would be lower than the right here. That would be lower than your current assets, which is this number right here. That's basically 139 million. So you would be below that at that stage. So like, what I could see in the immediate future is now. So let's take the rest of the dilution, right? So max dilution at this point, they've already gotten most of the warrants out. So I think like let's just go worst case scenario. So let's do 69 million plus another 7 million, right? Roughly. You'd be looking at like probably like I think it's more like 75 million if I did the numbers, but this is just rough math. But let's just take 76 million shares outstanding, right? And let's go ahead and times that by 142. That would give you a 107 million, right, market cap. So if you look, once again, that's still lower than your current assets. So obviously we'll find out in August what their new current assets look like, see if they've grown, see if they've shrank, but that's what's going to determine basically what the share price looks like when they get the extra dilution. Now but you have to remember these warrants can't be exercised until they hit I think it's 310. So literally the stock price has to be above 310, which it's not right now, for those warrants to be exercised. So no matter what, the stock has to be up here at this level for them to even touch the warrants. So there's going to be more upside before there could be any more dilution. So I don't think they're going to, if this whole market fell apart tomorrow, I still think they're going to have a tough time getting below 210. They could get down to, I think it was 181 was what current asset value is. But if they went lower than that, that's pretty ballsy of them to keep shorting it down to those levels. Now, the algos would probably sell off, my guess would be, but like as far as like if there was a market crash and the algos were all selling off everything they have, you could see maybe that level. But once it went anywhere near that, I mean, that would be the shorts choosing, and that would be pretty ballsy. I wouldn't want to short, if I was like anybody with a brain, a stock that has noticeably obviously ran at certain times, and I would not want to be shorting at under $2. Like, your risk reward at that point is super low. You have to remember, like, shorting from 7 down to 2, yeah, that's fine. Like, you can say, okay, well, that was like a no-brainer. They let off they basically allowed it to run up, then they re-shorted it down, and they've been pushing it down. They need to be able to get it high enough so where they can short it back down to make money. But once you get down to these levels, this is where it gets dangerous because retail will actually start accumulating shares long term. And so it's taking away liquidity. So, all right. All right. Let's see. I am a potter for a living, and I'm hairy. It's pretty good, goat. Pretty good. All right. So yeah, like if you take a look at the balance sheet, that's where basically it starts not making a whole lot of sense for it to be down at those levels when it's below current asset values. And you could say, okay, well, inventory is not like, you can't get full value for inventory at that point. So like you could discount it slightly. So you could maybe finagle and push around the numbers, but yeah, okay. Thoughts on GME and AMC. All right, so going back to GameStop. So what I think is going to happen is this. Obviously, the stock split's pretty big. So it's technically a dividend. So what they do, if I read it correctly, basically for each one of your shares, they are going to issue you 3 shares as a dividend, a stock dividend, quote unquote. And then that will be that's basically your 4-to-1 split, right? So every share you have, you gain an extra 3 shares. Now, what that does, though, is that actually happens for everything. So I think we established I'm allowed to show Ortex and Fintel, right? So, okay. So let's pull up GameStop real quick so we can just see it real fast. All right. So, GameStop. Let's go to the short interest, right? So right now they're roughly shorting about, what was it? They're estimating 12.73 million shares, right? So we know that right now they are trying to keep the price down, and they're obviously they've been at 100% utilization since February. Here, it's right here. It's like February 8th, I think it is. Is that right? Yeah, February 8th, they hit 100% utilization. Now, is that 100% utilization like, it's close. It's probably above 95%. I think we established on Bloomberg that they're usually like 97%, 98%. Ortex is just calling it 100%. So it's all where they're getting their data. But I guess they round up in this situation because Aterian did the same thing, as did AMC and a couple other stocks. So you can see, though, it's swinging real violently right now. You can see the shares on loan have been kind of up and down, but it's it's elevated. The cost to borrow, though, is rising. So it hit 42 the other day. It's still in the 30s on this stock. But that's a lot of money because if you look at how much money is actually shorted, about $1.5 billion worth of money is actually shorted against the stock. What I think you're going to see over time is this is going to be okay. So we established they're doing this 4-to-1 split, right? So let's go to their overview. So right here, you can see they have 75 million shares outstanding, right? So the concept would be this. So you now have, let me pull up my calculator again. All right, so you take, I'll pull it over so you guys can see it. So you have 75740, let's just call it that, right? Now you're going to have, or no, is it times 3? Let's see. I guess would it be 7540? Go on. 7540 times. I guess you're issuing out 3 times as many, right? Okay. So now you would have, and let me double check to make sure that's right. Pulling it up right now. I saw somebody broke this down. I just can't remember where it is, but let's see. Yeah, so the original is time, but 3 dividends, right? But I'm saying, so you would just take the original number and then time. Is it still times 4? Is it though? Because you're issuing 3 per original share, right? What do you guys think? All right. Yeah, so let's just call it roughly. It's either going to be one of these 2 numbers. We can do both of them if you want, but I think the way it works is basically you take your original amount. They're issuing out 3 shares per, and then you basically go through at that point, and then you would have either this number, or we can always play around and just look at the other one if it's times 4. If I'm wrong about this, 7540122. So it's either going to be the 26.2 million or the 301, but I think it's going to be this one. Thanks, Random. I'll read through those in a little bit. All right. There'll be a total of 4. Okay, so 301. That's what we're using. Now, here's the thing. So of these things right here, right? This will be the new shares outstanding. All right, so check this out. So we know right now, new issued is 3 times. Total is 4 times. Yeah, but if we're showing what the new shares outstanding is going to be, is it times 3 or is it times 4? Right, because they're issuing out 3 shares per original. So to me, that sounds like it's times 3. So it would be like 26 million would be the shares outstanding. Right? Feel free to check. Yeah, it's quote unquote a 4-to-1 split, but it's basically they're issuing out a dividend. Let me see if I can pull it up. Jimmy dividend. All right. So. You need to include the original shares. Yeah. Right? So if the original shares was this number, right? So that's accounted for then, right? Those shares are accounted for times 3 is what you're going to get. So, okay, well, we'll figure it out in a second, but let's just assume it's one of these 2 numbers, right? So the point I'm making is, so we know that here. So the shorts, on the other hand, right? They now have to then take whatever their number is, times it by 3 or 4, whatever we decide. Exactly. So, like, they now have a lot more shares shorted. Yeah. So what you're going to find out right now is if there were any synthetics that were created on the way, they also then have to, be accounted for, right? Because they're taking these dividends, and so they're not going to have quote unquote, the ability to pay this dividend. Yeah, I don't think anybody's told me what's the actual right answer. Is the float going to be 301 or is it going to be 26 million? You guys vote. Yeah. So what you're going to find out though is if there are synthetics, and that's been like Super Snock's whole thing is like, oh, there's all these synthetics, right? What would end up happening is then they would have to then either, I'm guessing they'd have to close their position, or they're going to have to create even more synthetics. So they would, be issuing out, right? Total float to 301. Okay, so in this case, then, if you take the 12,730,000 times 4, you would have almost 51 million new, issued out of the 301,600. So that's like 17% of the float. Is that right? Well, that's right, because it's not the free float. So you would take out then the insiders, and you would also take out any strategic partners or anything like that from the thing. So you'd probably be like roughly this. It should be the same exact ratios, but there's just a lot more now. But here's the thing, right? So if the stock price right now is, let's say, 130, right? And you divide it by 4, right? Now, shares of GameStop are going to be roughly in the 30s, right? Well, guess what retail can actually buy more of when they're down at that level? They get more to DRS, basically. So, yeah. So, no politics in here, Tom. No politics. Keep it just stocks. All right. So, anyway, retail has a lot more buying power at 32 than they do at, obviously, 130. Like, your average worker can actually probably buy a couple of these things each week, versus they might only be able to afford one a week if you're on the lower end of the spectrum as far as that goes. So will it shoot up after the price since more can afford it? Yeah, that's the idea behind it. Nothing fundamentally changes when you split a stock, but it does make things more affordable. So the thought is over time you're adding more and more shareholders over the course of that time, and you're making it more affordable for your average person. So, when a stock like Amazon was $3,000 a share, how many people could buy a full share? Probably not many. Now you can buy fractional shares, but I'm just saying, like, this is where it gets interesting for GameStop, because if retail starts buying again because the cost is lower and they can get more shares, what's going to end up happening is more and more of these apes are going to DRS their shares, removing them from the DTC system, and then there should be probably increased shorting to basically push it down, and then that's where things get really interesting. And they still have to figure out and account for those synthetics. They may have to close them. So there's a lot of things that can happen. But you usually see buying pressure, and you saw it today. I mean, the GameStop's average volume had been like 2 million, and I think they had like 6 million today. So they had 3 times as much volume. So you guys wanted to know what I thought about that. Yeah, I think GameStop should have done this a long time ago, to be honest with you, and kind of struck when the iron was hot. I guess maybe they were told by the SEC that stuff was getting taken care of and being investigated. But to be honest with you, I think GameStop, made a couple, errors in the fact that they could have easily done this way back in the day, and then that would have even, they probably knew it would have screwed over more shorts at the time, and that's why they probably didn't do it, because the SEC was like, no, you guys should sit on your hands. But if I was in charge of the company, I would have done the stock split or a reverse split, or like a couple different times. I mean, they've got billions. They could do a share buy. They could do tons of different things. Like what they're sitting on billions of dollars. Like, well, not billions, but like $1 billion. Like, do a share buyback. Like screw over these shorts again. Especially when it gets down to like 70 again. Like when you were raising money in the like 200s. It would topple a lot of large banks if GME did this. Then, yeah, I mean, it probably would have crashed the system. They needed to basically get off the hook and figure out ways of kicking the can. But like, this is going to be an interesting thing. I can tell you that. So, and then AMC, I think it's actually just running up on like kind of like. So here's my thing. Like AMC, there actually is like some. Did they drop after hours too or not? Only like 3%. What did GameStop do? They fell how much after hours? 5%. Okay. So AMC's obviously, I think they're making some money on Top Gun and I guess Rise of the Gru or Minions Rise of the Gru. So, they're still in a very different spot as far as like fundamentals go because they have so much debt, whereas GameStop has very little debt. So they're in different places right now, but it's very interesting. Like, let me just show you this. So GameStop right now has about a $10 billion market cap, and I believe AMC was like slightly lower, right? It was, AMC. Yeah, so it's like 7.5. But like, if this stock ran back up to like 15 to 20, right? You all of a sudden have a market cap that's probably around, I don't know, like 10 billion, slightly more than that. And you've got a lot of shares outstanding on the stock. I mean, they diluted quite a bit, but they did it to basically raise money to get out of some debt problems because they were paying like they were basically getting like ran into the ground before apes came in, and they basically used the apes to fund and get them to better like leases. And now they've got money coming back in again at least. So AMC I think will go up because there's just AMC to me is something that when it ran up to, for example, to 70, right? This was just because it was cheaper than GameStop, and people kept buying it no matter what was being said, right? They just literally put on so much pressure that they had to like squeeze. And they could have done it back here, and they probably should have, but Adam Aaron ran that ATM and like did it, and then launched up to here, and then he issued another ATM, which basically killed it, the momentum on it. So, anyway, I like GameStop better than I like AMC solely because the balance sheet looks better. But, I mean, AMC has that brute force of just lots and lots of young people and lots of, they like the stock and they keep buying it. And if they keep buying it when it's, when we dip down to these levels, when it's like $10 a share, yeah, like they can afford that. And, I see this was accumulation before it popped. I mean, we're starting to show that accumulation, so it could run again. Like, it wouldn't shock me to see AMC run again, and it's not going to shock me to see GME run again because, I think they're going through these consolidations, and what you'll see is, there are certain levels that when they dip below, you're going to have these springs that go hard. What would it take, like 2-3 days to get this? Some of these big moves, like from 90 to 123. Then this candle was from like 150 to like 190. And what you'll probably see at some point is another large candle up. It's when they're having to cover. But, this is going to be very interesting to see with the GameStop stock split. So, I don't know why AMC is running specifically with GameStop because unless the numbers are going to be so much better and so institutions are starting to buy AMC again, or maybe they just know that these two are going to run, so they run together, so might as well hop in. What was their volume today? Let's see. Their volume today was 62 million. Their average volume. So they had a little bit more than their average, volume. So there you go. Let's see. So does it split before, during, or after hours? It would split. I mean, they can technically split it whenever they want. They would probably do it either before market open or before it close. They wouldn't do it during the middle of the day. They would probably do it at night, is my guess. So you would wake up one morning and you'll have 4 times as many shares or 3 times as many shares as you do now. Right? Let's see. Stock split. Yeah, it's a 4-to-1 split. Anyone who owns a share at market close on July 18th, right? So today is the 7th, is that right? Yep, 7th. So by July 18th, they'll be issued a one-time dividend of 3 additional shares at the end of the trading day. So it's at the end of the trading day. So at the end of the trading day on the 18th, if you have, 10 shares, you will wake up and have, right, 40 shares. Right? So, there you go. All right. Let me go back up and catch some of the questions you guys were asking. All right. Okay. So, we covered Aterian and people telling that. AMC and GameStop. Do we know how powerful Amy is? Is it all they claim it to be? So I don't know. I think for Aterian's product, basically it's their AI that they use to basically price compare. It's machine learning, and they're basically programming it probably constantly and tweaking it to try to make it good. My guess is I think they have a license for it, so they can also sell that license to other other companies if they wanted. I don't think they've made a ton of money that way yet. But it's a possible source of revenue at some point if they open that up for licensing. So Faraday FFE. So I actually sold out of my position already. On the second day it ran up, but it's looking like it's obviously it's had a nice run. It went higher than I thought it would. I bought it back down here when it was like 2 something. And I held on to it for a couple of days, and then I just kind of forgot about it. And then one day I woke up and it was green, and I was like, oh, well, I guess I'm going to sell this for some profit now, because I think at that point it already ran up pretty significantly this day. I think I sold it in the 540s, and then it hit 641 today. So the question is, how much further can it go before it gets pushed down? So if we look in the past, it basically broke the downtrend, obviously, right? So now you're flying up in this uptrend. Let's take a look. Dilution tracker, and I'll bring it over so you guys can see. And I think I told some of you guys, if you wanted the discount code, I made a section for it so you can pull it up anytime you want. So in this case, we are doing FFIE, right? So yeah, I don't see any huge like black flags. I mean, like, right? They have good amount of assets. Liabilities aren't that much, right? Total liability is like 270. They've got like total assets of like 706. I think they're cash flow positive, if I remember correctly. They spend a lot on research and development, but I mean that's what they do. We got some Class A, Class Bs. I don't. Let's see if they have warrants. They do have redeemable warrants, but they're at $11.50 a share. So, you know, is this going to get pumped up to $11.50? Like, that's possible. They do have some private warrants, but I don't see any that make a huge. So they've got 22 million public warrants, and they have another 674K. Sorry, I should be showing you guys this. Apologize. Yeah, so I just went through their filings real quick and saw that they have these warrants, but they're at $11.50, right? And they do have another 4.5 million at $10. So they have a total dilution of 28 million shares, but they have to be up at these prices to execute any of them. So, yeah, I mean, overall, it looks like unless they don't look like they're having any money trouble, they don't look like they're having any like, you know. So this is one of those that could have some legs, and we'll see. But yeah, I bought them and I had already sold them, and now I'm kind of like kicking myself because I'm like, there's probably more in that. But you know, I took profit because I needed to get some, you know, wins in, and you know, I'm playing with some as the SPXU, or sorry, as the SPY goes up, I'm trying to buy cheap puts. So, you know, as everyone else is getting shaken out, I'm buying long-dated January puts on the SPY, and hopefully we'll make some good money there eventually when this all comes crashing down, because I think at some point it will. Some of you guys know what inverted yield curves are. Inverted yield curve. But typically what happens is, we'll bring it over the definition, but yield curve is when longer term yields fall much faster than shorter term yields. Typically what happens is when usually you have recessions right right before these things like fix themselves. So like, yeah, inverted, like right there. So most of the time that in the past that this has happened, it predates a recession. So you have a greater than 98% chance of a recession in the next 2 years. So that's why if you ever hear people talk about inverted yield curves, it does not, and there are going to be people saying inverted yield curves does not prove U.S. recession imminent. But like most of the time it does. Like, so just throwing that out there for you guys. All right, so let's go back to your questions. So I looked at 5. I don't see any like glaring things on them. They look good to me. I was in them too, but I was being more conservative and took some profits. All right. What trade platform is this? Which one are you talking about, Keith? Or sorry, Kenneth. If you're still with us, Kenneth, you can tell me which platform. Jan's personal platform. He sells it on his website. No. This is Webull, and the other one is Thinkorswim. What's up, John? Sorry, I just got to you. No, what's up for John? I'm telling you what's up, John. How you doing? All right. Baby talking to your infant, toddler, children causes them to have issues with forming words. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I talk normally to them, but like they said, you can raise your voice up to like it's more soothing to babies, but you don't have to like that stuff's not good for them. They need to hear words and like how to sound things out. So yeah, we didn't do baby talk, but we did raise our voices a little bit when we talked to our kids. All right. Want to talk about focus on ATER only. I mean, at this point right now, I'm talking about any stock that people want to talk about because, I mean, right now, if you look at Aterian, there's not a whole lot like that's new. Like we don't have any new information at this point. Like everything that we're seeing is typically like, we've seen it before. They pushed the stock down. Now we're sitting down here at these accumulation levels, and it's just chopping around. We're not oversold. If you look at the chart, right, we crossed over. We're positive on the MACD now. Our stochastic's already crossed over. Now we just need to see some follow through. They're going to try to pin the price under 250 for tomorrow when the options expire. So like nothing's new here, and they'll probably do it because they're, at this point right now, retail's not in and buying tons of shares. I mean, typically we trade between 1 and 2 million when we had like no volume. We're getting the same exact thing. So until retail starts buying this stock again and we actually see some volume and follow through like that we got on this day, it's just going to be here, like roughly around like this accumulation zone, probably right in the middle of it, like somewhere in this range. So, did you hear about GameStop's CFO? Yes. Yes, I did. Who remembers playing options when it was in the fives? Good times. Yeah, I was gonna say, I do. Those were fun. Like when we were up here and. All right. All right. So that's all the GameStop talk. Inverted U. All right. I'm guessing a few bought EMKR after the last stream, judging by the after hours dumped by a hedge fund to fill orders for profit. Yeah, probably. I mean, I didn't grab it. You want to cover DTC? Sure. Let me pull up what I got on that. All right. So in this case, we'll do DTC. All right. So we have sitting here. Nothing's changed on dilution, right? Company needs cash. That's what it's saying. So, but like, nothing's specifically new. So if we look over here at holders, right? This is where it gets interesting because it shows that like, is Fish on here? Let me see if he's on. Check real quick. Where's Fish? Able to pull DTC off Bloomberg. Screenshot it. Okay, cool. Oh, Fish went to bed. He had a long day. Okay. Well, I know the last time we looked at it, it was around 80 million shares that we accounted for between insiders, and I think that was including all the. Let me pull up. I have a DTC sheet that I'm working on, trying to get up to par. So, I think. If I remember correctly, what we did was... Is it this one? Okay. Or was it this one? Okay. So what I did was, I think we looked at it two different ways, right? So what somebody showed me that they were doing was... We'll see if this is right. Let me see if I can pull it up. All right, come on. Give me a second. I'll show you guys what somebody else did for what we were talking about. All right. Pull this over. Okay, so this was a different way of like looking at it, which I don't know which way is right, to be honest with you. But what he did was he combined the Class A and Class B shares. Now, this is where I think Fintel and Ortex are getting their numbers. So he accounted for insiders 4.1 million, which I guess he said that he pulled that from Market Beat. He pulled the number that they provided, which is 4.34%. So if you take your total shares outstanding and then do that, I guess let's double check it. All right, so let's take maybe 63,40,772 times 0.0434. Okay, so it must be off the higher number. So he's using maybe this number times 0.0434. Yeah, so that's where he's coming up with that. So I think that number's actually higher, to be honest with you. But let's go off of what he's doing right now, because this was an interesting thing that I'd never seen somebody do, and he did come from a firm. So, all right, so we know that number, right? So that means that the available float, not the free float, but the available float would be around 90 million, right? So then you take institutional ownership. Now, this is where it gets a little confusing, because Summit is actually an insider. And so Summit technically owns, that's why I think this number is not correct fully, but I think these are considered just like what the CEO, CFO, all that stuff. They're not counting these shares as the insider shares. But let's just go over the institutional ownership, right? So if you add all these up for the, you get basically 75 million minus the 90 million, and that would give you a free float of around 15 million. You've got about 2.8 million shares shorted, which means that about 18% of the shares. That's where I think Fintel and Ortex are getting their numbers, right? Okay. Here's the thing, though, right? So when we looked at Bloomberg's thing, what was the Ortex numbers? Let me pull it up real quick. Okay, let me pull up Ortex for you guys real quick, and we can take a look. Okay. So if we do DTC, right? Solo brands. Okay. So what we're seeing right now, right? We've had this falling knife. It's just been coming down here. And now what you typically will see from this is at some point you'll find a break. Right? You've already tested the bottom here, it looks like twice, right? You had a double bottom. It moved up, and now it's starting to move up along with it, right? So what I can see is this. Right now, because retail's not in on this stock, there's no volume on this thing, right? So they are estimating that right now it's about 2.6 million shares shorted, which is about 18% of the stock, right? And they're borrowing these shares because the shares are pretty cheap. It's like 12% to borrow, right? So unless this stock gets some actual volume on it, it's probably just going to chop around here and then maybe slowly rise or slowly sink, depending on what shorts are feeling like doing. So look at this, right? So the question really remains is, will they have something to basically go? We know the insiders bought, right? So if you look at, they have insiders, right? So insiders actually bought what was that? 3 transactions, and they bought a crap ton of shares, and this guy bought like 440 K worth of like shares. That's the CEO. The CFO bought 215 K shares. The former CFO bought also. Oh, sorry, the same one, right? And then here's the CEO. And the only person that sold, I think, was the old CFO, which is, I think, this guy. No, he bought too. So, like, everybody that's got, like, leadership positions is buying and no one's selling. That's always a good thing, right? So, you can see where they're buying. So he bought recently, right? The CEO bought really recently. So he knows something's going on, right? It's his company. Typically, I don't read into it that much, but like he keeps buying. Like he bought here and he bought even more here. So he's buying his own company. So that's never a bad thing, right? It's not make or break. And I've told you guys that story about Moderna, and me selling because the CEO sold and then the stock ran. But in this case, I think it's interesting that he's been buying, and he's bought twice, not just like a one-time thing. He's consistently buying as the stock's moving down, because you can only buy certain times as like insiders, and most people don't realize this, but insiders literally can only buy during certain times. They can't be like, oh, the stock's cheap today, let me go buy it. Like if you know something's going to happen, they may keep you from buying it until the next cycle. So you don't get to choose when you have certain windows that you're allowed to buy. So that's why people always want to find out, like, why isn't the CEO buying? That must be like, it's like, because they only had a certain type of thing. Yeah. So once again, that's a good thing for the stock, right? Now, they have 63 million shares outstanding, right? And I think I showed you guys on that other like sheet here, right? So if you had 63 million shares outstanding and insiders own 42 million, right? That gives you a float of 21 million. Institutions own another 22 million. That means that basically you have a negative free float. And you're talking about like literally like these Class Bs, I don't think anyone can touch. So, like, I think the stock's illiquid, but, like, nobody knows it. So, like, if DTC actually got a run, the short interest would pick up, the cost to borrow would go, and I don't think anyone wants to be super, at these, prices. The reason why they're probably being shorted at this point, though, is because the cash. So, they're probably going to do something to raise cash. So, for most people, they have a buy on them. But, I think they need to figure out what they're going to do as far as this cash goes, because I need to find out. I think that's what some people might be waiting on, is to find out how they're going to raise cash. Because if they do dilution, they're not, they've still got 63 million shares outstanding. If you took another 10 million in, warrants and all these different things, you can do, a couple of things with that money. So we're going to find out real quick, because that's what I think they're holding on for, is they want to see, if these guys are going to dilute as they run out of money. But they actually have a line of credit that's pretty like reasonable terms. So that's where they're going to probably pull from to pull out cash. So what they'll do is on a balance sheet, they'll pull out some like debt equity, and then they'll keep the cash there. So that's probably what's going to happen next. And then we have to account for that on, the math on that. But, if you look, this is a company that's super interesting. They have a couple different outdoor brands. They make the solo stoves, but they also have like Chubbies, a like foldable kayak, and also they have something like a foldable like paddleboard or something like that. But I think because the stock's pretty liquid, but nobody knows about them, they're not getting a ton of volume. So if they get like the slightest bit of volume, the stock would probably like fly around. I mean, what was the volume today? All right, but I mean, like, you can see how even on the chart, like it's trying to bounce off of here, and it's already double bottomed. So there you go. Is there a way of finding out when insiders can trade a particular stock? Not that I know of. Because basically, like, say for example, you're launching a new product and you know that, right? And that's just going to be something that will take things by storm. The SEC may actually keep you from buying shares before then to make sure that you don't give away something, right? So, like, you couldn't possibly figure out, how many people are doing that, across the entire market. So, I don't think so. Have you been watching Mavis at all? It's been on a roll lately. Yeah, I mean, we can pull it up if you want to. All right. Microvision, right? They've had a nice little. They hit the spring. It looks like a triple bottomed or is it quadruple bottomed? Yeah, probably triple bottom. And now it's been, consistently going up, right? So it went from like 2 to like almost 5, right? Yeah, I mean, let's take a look. Yep, so like 25% short interest, free float, about 41 million shares, right? Yeah, I mean, it's got a nice short squeeze score. It looks cost to borrow. Still, it's about what Aterian's is, which is about 50 something. About 55 million shares on loan. How big's the float? Float is 64 million. So insiders only own like 1% of the company. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, you can see they had this nice huge run and then it's been down, but yeah. Fundamentals. All right. Let's take a look and just see if there's any dilution. Looks like there's a little bit. About 15 million roughly left, right? So they've registered this. So they've done half of their ATM. Yeah, probably it's time for bed. 11 o'clock's my bedtime usually. Paid average. What does that mean? Oh, we're getting, what are they called? Bots in here again. Oh, bot. Stop it. We don't have moderators in here anymore, do we? All right. There. I just muted him for 5 minutes through OBS, so let me figure out how to clean up his report. They should do this where if you have, like, on YouTube, like, somebody spamming something, you can just remove all their messages at once. That would be a nice thing, right? Okay. Forgot control on one of the posts. Good night, Jason. Have a great one, man. I'm with you. I'm tired too. Yeah, so I did see that some people were talking about Aterian. Do you guys have any thoughts on that? Because I looked on the Reddit and it looked like some people are upset, obviously, with I guess the new mods on there. Do you guys have any? I'd fine talking about that if you guys want to. I think most people in here probably have an opinion on that. You guys tell me. Thanks. Appreciate it. Yeah, no doubt. Okay. All right. Anyone have an opinion? No, we're all just leaving, or it took forever to get a main mod. I want a free truck and some horny chicks. Sorry for blocking the bots there. And photos barely had it a month. The Discord has more DD and useful info than the subreddit. Yeah, and I agree with that. ATER options for tomorrow. Personally, I'm not looking for any options right now. Sorry. Maybe we need to bring the Discord DD to the ATER sub. Yeah, I just haven't had time to write recently, guys, and it's just been this stupid project that I've been on for. So literally, I'm actually doing DD for my job, which is basically we're selling some stuff, and they want all the history. So I'm having to go back and like provide like financial records and all this other stuff for like multiple, things. So, but it's tons of scanning. I've got like a couple people helping me work on like getting everything ready, and it's going off to the lawyers. But man, somebody is being really annoying on here. You get bots are back. Yep. This is annoying. You want your ads removed, click the arrow. I do not negotiate with terrorists. Shouldn't just be you, Anon. Generally, people's TA thoughts, you and the Discord have to share on Reddit. Yeah, this is super annoying, and I keep like muting them, and they keep just doing it. Wow, this is annoying. Who would ever want to go on that website? No, I don't know. This is my guess is they're basically trying to extort me, to basically, if you look at all these different things, right? They're using bots and they're trying to basically make the person that's streaming go to their website to like get rid of the bot spamming. But little do they know, I do not negotiate with terrorists. So we'll just keep playing this game. Discord members are more informed than the Reddit sub. At least they're not talking about Hood. Man, I miss those bots. Those were a lot more fun. These ones are a pain in the butt. Yeah, the biggest problem I think is this. So, like a lot of the other subreddits that have the live chat, right? What you end up finding out is unless you have somebody actually moderating it, people say some wild stuff. And so, can you set a timer on how often someone can comment? I mean, they're using different accounts, so. But let's see. How do I do that? Manage moderators participants. Want ads removed, click the arrow. So, let's do... Yeah, it's annoying. All right. Well, you know what? I'm just going to end the stream because those bots are annoying. But I just wanted to find out if you guys had any opinions on the Reddit and, any strong opinions one way or the other. Personally, for me, I think that it looks better aesthetically. For me, I've been doing it like I try to keep up, but it's so hard. And like I don't like banning people, but like there were certain people that honestly like all they wanted to do was troll, and like they sold probably long ago, but they went in there just to like stir the pot, and like at that point it's like, and it's funny because there's some people still like sending messages, like they've clearly left, and like they don't have any active interest in it, but they're in there just to like talk crap, and like it's and they're banned, so they can't do it on there, but they will just continuously like message the mods, and it's like you guys really have a lot of time on your hands. Like I got a lot of stuff going on in my life. I've never thought about like trolling someone. It's pretty. Oh God. What is that? Yeah, like I need to report that. That's hate speech. Yeah. Right? Like this is interesting. Like we're straight up getting like spam bot attacked. Like all right. Okay. Yeah, let's do that. I've seen you guys in here before, so how do I do that? I go to manage moderators. There are hidden users. Look at all those hidden users. And we have look at all these. That's kind of amazing. Hold on. So they have a bunch of different things that we can do, but like, how do I add somebody? Paste a channel URL of a user as to add as a moderator. How do I do that? See, I'm like, got a ban hammer. Here. Goat, you're a mod now. Yeah, appreciate it, guys. Here, I'll add some of you guys as mods. Who else wants to be a mod? If you guys come in and hang out all the time. Let's see. Awesome, you're also a mod now, too. Awesomeness. There. There, you guys stuck around. You're now mods. Cool. All right. Yeah, but I think I am being targeted. Let's see. She has to warm up some zucchini pancakes while I eat leftovers. Yeah, let's call it a night, guys. There's only like 30 of us left anyway. But I have to figure out what this means. Apparently, there's something called like hidden users, which is interesting. So, yeah. All right. So I'll try to figure out that, and then you guys do whatever you need to do. But thanks for the. I hate my significant other. No, you don't. It's fine. It was just the four of us. It might be. It says there's 32 people watching, but half them seem to be bots. So, all right, guys. Well, thanks for hanging out, talking stocks, and we'll do that again. This is just sad, right? Yeah, there's something in here called hidden users, and it like showed a bunch of people, but like apparently, like I saw some bots with red eyes in there, so they do listen to me apparently. So that's pretty interesting, right? Yeah. Yeah, it should be up and running after so you should be able to see, you know, the stream and catch up if you need to. Yeah, if you can like and subscribe, that'd be great. I know there's only like 30 of us in here. So bots, if you could subscribe to me, that'd be great. So you can come back and troll me. Thanks. All right, guys. I'll put a link to the Discord just in case anyone listened to the end. And we will go ahead and see you guys tomorrow. I don't know if I'll stream or not. Probably not. Unless Aterian blows up or some stock blows up, then I might do it. But for right now, there's the link to the Discord, and you guys have a great evening. All right, night.